Hi, my name is Heavenly King, and this is my Sparks Grant project. My topic is the addiction to homelessness pipeline. I picked this topic because it is an issue I've seen a lot over the years, especially after the pandemic. They're everywhere and there needs to be a change, especially as someone that is more fortunate than others, but still has roots to the addict life. The rise of homelessness in Tacoma. Over the years, the homeless population has been on the rise. As seen in the image above, the states that are dark blue are the ones with the highest homeless population in the country, and Washington is among those states. The top two highest homeless populated cities in Washington is Tacoma and Seattle. And Tacoma is one of the most dangerous cities in Washington. As seen in the two images below, Tacoma has a high crime rate. The red signifies the more dangerous areas in Washington, and the greens and yellows are the more safer areas. So, the homeless are experiencing more danger. It's getting to the point where it's becoming unbearably evident that change needs to happen. Lack of affordable housing in Tacoma. First, let's discuss the real estate market for the housing in 2022. As seen in the image below, let's talk about how the drastic change in the house prices has been over the years. This negatively affects the homeless because they can't get a mortgage loan, let alone a job to obtain a house. So this is going to be an issue. It has drastically went up since 2011 to 2021, going on to 2022. Now let's talk about the apartment costs. The skyrocketing apartment costs, as seen in the image above, the average cost for apartments is between 1 to 2.5K in Tacoma, and you need to make 3 to 4 times that rent amount to qualify. The homeless people more often than not do not have a paying job, let alone make 3 to 4 times that amount. So it's going to be very hard for them to get an apartment or a house, so there's not really much for them to stay. What is my goal for this proposal? To create a program that helps addicts get their life on track by connecting them to free rehab centers and free housing and housing assistance. And I want to connect them to other helpful programs while in treatment. Kimberly's impact. Kimberly is the owner of a rehab recovery house. She actively goes out her way to help the homeless community. Due to her past, she was many of the addicts that walk the street of Hilltop. Her past involves addiction with crack and meth and homelessness. Hilltop is one of the most heavily prominent homeless addiction areas in Tacoma. You can notice them more because a lot of them live in tents, so it's hard not to notice them. She helps them get into shelters, whether that's through her own homes or through other places. In her house, she provides basic living requirements, and she helps them get into free inpatient treatment. They connect you to so many not well-known assistance programs regarding food, money, job, rehab, etc., so there's less competition. She brings you to her local church where she helps you make many connections. Overall, she helps them get their life on track. Free rehab program websites in Washington. There are many rehab programs that cost little to nothing or free depending on eligibility. There's 2 websites that I researched for this topic. The first website was explaining the different types of rehab centers. The 3 types was vocational work study, donation/goodwill, and state funded. Those are the top 3 most common. The vocational and work study ones was basically labor for rehab, so you work to pay off the debt you needed for rehab. So many programs in Washington like Salvation Army, Teen Challenge, and Centacor are the most popular. And then donation and goodwill. Those are funded by private parties, individuals, or organizations. They'll usually donate to the family/addict, and it's practically like a scholarship-based type scholarship. And it is the rarest out of the 3 types. A lot of these programs were funded by churches. State-funded programs is operated by the state and paid by grants both at federal, state, and county level of governments. In most cases, these programs are filled with people that were court-ordered or have drug or alcohol offenses. Since it is court-ordered, they have a long wait list if it wasn't court-ordered, so not the most ideal if it doesn't fit your case. The second website, it provides local free rehab centers. It organizes it by cities, and the more heavily populated for homeless, the more free rehab centers they provide. Tacoma and Seattle have the most listed, with Tacoma having 14 while Seattle has 24. It is good that they provide lesser-known rehab centers that are free, so there is less competition, so more people are able to get in. Also, if you click on it, it provides basic info on each center that involves the hours, the address, phone numbers, and descriptions of each center and what type of centers they are. The second website Free housing programs and housing assistance websites. I researched 2 websites. The first one being the King County website is catered to helping homeless people that are experiencing homeless or is at risk for homelessness. It provides permanent housing programs, and this is important because in my program, I want to connect them to permanent housing programs because they don't have to worry about where they're going to sleep their head on at night, and it's just more long-lasting. And to qualify for these programs, you have to be homeless upon entry, or you have to have a disability, whether that be mental illness, substance abuse, or chronic health issues, etc. That causes barriers for house stability. The households provide high to medium services needs to meet obligations of tenants. They create a housing stability plan, and they have to complete those services to maintain the housing stability. The services are individually catered to each tenant. The services may be on or off site, and the tenant has to uphold for the rental agreement. The second website I researched is SAMHSA. It stands for Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration. I'll talk briefly about it. It provides many resources that range from employment opportunities, which is important so that the homeless can have a stable income, to drug rehab support, which is where they connect you to rehab centers so that you can get your life back on track with your addiction, and permanent and temporary housing so that they have somewhere to stay so they don't have to be on the streets. And then they gave examples of other shelters they provide. There's emergency shelters, which usually is just supposed to help for a couple days or daily. It's not really a permanent or temporary housing situation since it's only a couple days max you can be there. And then there's transitional housing. Transitional housing is a temporary residency that is up to 24 months that can help stabilize your life by providing services to help them. Then there's permanent housing, and permanent housing provides programs and services that support and help people with illnesses, whether that be mental health or drugs. And some permanent housings that don't require prerequisites are specifically catered to chronic homeless people. How are we going to implement the new program? The overall goal is to be a program that connects the addict homeless to many programs to get their life on track. And I'm going to do this by going to have volunteers go into the street for recruitment to help them get into these programs. And then I'm going to reach out to recovery homes and reach out to rehab centers. My goal is to help the homeless addicts off the streets. I want to create a program that connects homeless to free resources that will help them get their life on track, specifically rehab and housing. I want to involve treatment centers and housing programs, and I want to start this by September 2022. I have this goal because I relate with these people because of the way I grew up. I grew around addicts and homeless people a lot, so I just know where it's like to come from that. To measure the success of the program, we will start in one area of Tacoma that is heavily populated with the homeless addicts and try to reduce it by 70% of them off the streets. Before moving on to the next problematic area, I personally don't have the skill set for this program, but my family and their connections do. They have the personal and professional aspects in this topic, and for this topic, effort equates to success. For this goal to succeed, I'm setting this goal now because I want to prepare for winter where it will be extremely bad due to the weather and lack of resources, so we don't have much time. I don't have a necessary deadline for this because the homeless will always be an issue. These are my licensing, and the last one for Kimberly's Impact, I only stated one because all 3 images follow under that. And this is my works cited page, and thank you for listening to me.